Well, I have to admit, I am very surprised with how Setsuna's quirk works. I did not expect to see that she can detach her body, very similar to the Chop Chop fruit in One Piece. I figured it was going to have something to do with regeneration, which it still might have something to do with that, but even then though, I find it kind of funny that, honestly, it was something I think none of us really expected. Her being able to detach individual pieces of her body to move independently from each other, it's pretty freaking incredible. I actually have to give a lot of credit to just the unexpected nature of her quirk. Now, there's quite a few things that we need to figure out when it comes to the events of how her quirk works in the first place. We gotta look back at Tokita for a second. Remember when Tokita was first introduced her at the end of Season 3 of My Hero Academia? When you first see his quirk and how it works, Tokita looked absolutely ridiculous. The way his quirk worked, it looked like he was broken. Like, he was literally OP, insane, and that, honestly, there's no way he should really lose. But then we found out how much hard work he put into it, how it was such a weak quirk that he made very strong through just sheer effort, and because of that, that's how he ended up like he was. I'm assuming that Setsuna is in a very similar situation, because look at the facts here. She can split her body up currently, which, emphasis on that, that's what Horikoshi went out of his way to say. Currently, she can only split up into 50 parts, which means that one day she could exceed that number. But for now, though, she can split her body up into 50 different parts, and she can move them independently. And you gotta imagine how much brain process, how much calculating you need to have to figure out where to move your body at. Unless she has, like, she can sense her body parts at certain locations, then if she doesn't have that, then it's pretty freaking ridiculous. Because you gotta imagine that having to move your body parts, let's say you detached your little hands or individual fingers, half your head, your eyes, whatever, your mouth somewhere else, all that. Imagine moving these body parts all the way around and you can't really sense them. You can move them, but you like have no sense of where everything is at. For instance, you don't know what's in front of you. You can't see anything in front of you, which would explain why Setsuna had her eye up in the sky, was because she needed to be able to look down to see where her body parts were. So she actually has to feel around with her body to figure out different pathways. So she's not able to see or hear anything with her individual pieces that are disconnected from her. She might be able to feel things, because if it still works like your body, you're going to feel when someone, puts a hand on you or whatever, you're going to feel that, or when you bump into something. But overall, she is basically going blind with her individual body parts, moving them around, which, like I said, is pretty ridiculous. You got to imagine how much brain power you have to use, probably to use her quirk. I'm going to assume she probably had to go through a lot to be able to get her quirk to where it's at. The amount of concentration she needs to have to even be able to fight is insane. Now, there's another question I have. Another question I have is that with her being able to separate her body parts, it does leave her at a very big disadvantage. And the disadvantage I'm talking about is that she puts herself in a lot of harm, like in harm's way, pretty quickly. Because, example, she can split her body part up in her body into 50 parts, obviously, and currently she can exceed that maybe one day. But if she continuously, spreads apart her body, it would limit the damage that would happen to her body, but it still doesn't change the fact that if she splits up her organs and stuff, and if someone attacks that, that's going to cause a lot of damage to her. And I wonder how that works exactly. Like, is she able to shuffle around her organs within inside of her? Or is she, someone that can regenerate quickly, like she has a good healing factor? None of this has really been established in this chapter, and I'm going to assume she must have a high regeneration factor like a lizard, because, I mean, with her being able to split her body parts up in different pieces, I'm assuming if something was destroyed or eaten, whatever, like, an animal, stray animal, dog, cat, whatever, gets a hold of it, you gotta imagine that that would probably cause a lot of harm. So I'm gonna assume she could regenerate, and everything will be a-okay if something is destroyed. And it definitely would be very good for reconnaissance missions. Like, I mean, think about this. If she was able to detach her ear and have it float around, she can easily listen to stuff that she doesn't need to hear, or people don't want her to hear, and she can get information on villains and stuff. So her quirk ability is pretty freaking strong. I'm very blown away by just the way that Horikoshi could apply this quirk to so many situations going forward. Now, anyways, let's talk about the others. I think his name is, Bondo. I have it right here. Bondo, his quirk. I sense the memes. I sense the memes from this dude's quirk. Like, the manga panels when he uses his quirk, I feel like is going to be top quality meme material. Because the man had, like, adhesive just come out all over Ciro's tape, and I'm like, oh, like, this looks wrong. Like, Horikoshi, this looks really wrong. Like, it really does. And I'm just like, oh, man. Yeah, bad images. But anyways, though, we have to where his quirk is, in a lot of ways, it seems like it could be potentially weak, like it's weak, but it's actually strong. It's very similar to Great Boy, and how his quirk, even though it doesn't seem like anything ridiculous or flashy, it is very powerful. We know it can literally stick people into place, and they cannot move whatsoever. So because of that, we know for a fact that, you know, adhesive-type quirks can be very powerful. They can restrain people where you really can't do much whatsoever. And so I feel like, you know, this individual's quirk, even though it doesn't seem like it's crazy, it's probably very powerful. And I mean, we got to see, you know, a way it was applied in this chapter being used against Ciro and holding him into place. Now, we also have Edge Boy here. Edge Boy, yeah, literally, he just screams Edge. Like, his entire design and everything. I think Horikoshi was literally trying to make that a major point of this character design. I mean, the man literally can have blades and knives pop out anywhere on his body. You see him sticking to the side of the wall, like, holding himself up. The man basically is an Edge Man. Like, he's literally Edge Man itself, so yeah, that's a very interesting design and quirk ability that Horikoshi gave him, and it's honestly really not that crazy interesting. I'm not really that fascinated about the dude because of the way his quirk is. It just seems very stereotypical or generic and nothing too crazy that really interests me, like, you know, Setsuna's quirk and how she's able to really manipulate multiple parts of her body, and it makes you wonder if she's able to sense it. So, what's left to really get into? I guess, Vlad and Monama's interaction, and, you know, how Aizawa basically stated he's not really a good teacher whatsoever. So, Vlad, once again, we get to see the man's like, you know, I love my class, they're amazing and all that, and he's just, you know, acting very energetic, and, you know, he's just cheering on his class. He's not a good commenter, but he's a very good person when it comes to cheering on his class. He's definitely a good teacher, and you see where, you know, he's just getting all happy, and Aizawa interrupts his class like, hey, don't stop him and all that. You know, at the end of the day, he's probably a better teacher, because, I mean, look, he's already shown that the way he's taught Class B, they're able to apply different, you know, countermeasures and ways to deal with Class A, so obviously Vlad is doing a very good job with teaching, and he's like, I probably failed quite a bit, which makes me a little bit sad that Aizawa's saying that about himself, but in a lot of ways, seeing what we've seen in these previous rounds, it does make sense. I mean, Class B has been very creative when it comes to the way they apply their abilities, so I do think that, you know, there's a lot of truth into what Aizawa said about himself. Now, moving one step further, Monama also repeats the exact same action that Vlad did, doing something very over-exaggerated, being very happy, putting down Class A, and I noticed that. I wonder if the reason why Monama acts like the way he does is actually from Vlad itself. I really do wonder if he just got all of this, like the way he acts, just straight up from Vlad. And that is why he's just so excessive or obnoxious with always wanting to put down Class A. So yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. It's a very short chapter, which we all expected, and I mean, yeah, it's kind of sad. I do hope that the chapters do get long as time goes on. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious like I talked about in my previous videos. There is one thing I do want to mention. There is a popularity poll that came out once again. I do want to make a video talking about the character popularity poll, and if you want to see something like that, you know, let me know in the comments below. I wanted to mention that this entire little mini, like, side story at the end of the chapter is pretty freaking hilarious. I cannot get over the fact of how amazing Bakugo's mother is. It's funny. It's just funny how much Bakugo takes after his mother, and it's just a nice little side segment to the chapter, which isn't technically, like, relevant to the main story right now, but I just do find this scene with Bakugo's mother and father just pretty hilarious. Another thing to really get into, too, is Bakugo's, like, change in personality, how much he's growing. He has learned how to save others before trying to win, which you see how he saves Jiro in this chapter, so we're also getting development with Bakugo. But yeah, that's, pretty much about it when it comes to the chapter. It's a great chapter, just short, which sucks because I love My Hero Academia, but it's just sad that, you know, the chapters just feel so short anymore. But But I love you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. Because for some reason, even if you click the subscribe button, you don't always get notified. And so that's why you need to hit the bell icon. This goes for everybody out there, not just for me. This is for all YouTubers on the platform. Because for some reason, you got to basically double subscribe. But with that, I love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.